Nächste Station. Schanzenviertel. In der Abschnitt zwischen Fahrzeug und Bahnsteig. Letzter.
Hi everyone and welcome back to my Devlog for Chains, a rhythm-based building game inspired by The Settlers. While I'm on the train to visit my grandpa, let's take a look at what I'll be working on this week. In this episode I'm implementing a system that allows monsters, aka buildings, to receive, carry and produce more than one good at a time. I also want them to be able to combine two different goods to create a new one, a classic mechanic in building games. So up until now each monster could only carry one item stored in a current good variable. I've now turned that into an array called current goods, which makes it possible for monsters to hold multiple items. This is important for monsters like the worm cooker, which needs both worms and water to function. After some trial and error I got the system working. I also introduced a new variable, max current goods, which limits how many items a monster can carry. For example, carriers can only hold one item, though that might change with upgrades, while worm cookers can hold two. So now the monsters can carry multiple goods. The next step is getting them to do something with those goods. Let's take the worm cooker as an example. It needs both water and worms to produce cooked worms. So I added logic to compare the monster's current goods with its required receiving goods. So after more debugging than I would like to admit, production monsters can now correctly compare the two arrays. If all the required items are present, they will produce their assigned product. In this case, a cooked worm. Otherwise, they will just discard whatever they have received, for now. But before I could test it, I had to actually create the cooked worm resource in the game. Fortunately, I had already built a goods class, so creating the new item and assigning it to both the worm cooker and the center monster was pretty straightforward. Now let's test it out. First, I set up the carriers that connect the worm cooker to the center and adjust their direction. Then I placed the worm cooker followed by the water monster and the worm catcher. And there you go. The chain works. A cooked worm is created and delivered to the center. The rhythm isn't perfect yet, but it's functional. But before I get into fine-tuning the rhythm, I need to pick some raspberries. The rain is about to start. Okay, now let's get back to the game. Delivering a mushroom every measure was easy, but now that there are 3 monsters involved in producing a single cooked worm, timing becomes more complex. And that's where the fun begins, syncing everything perfectly. You haven't seen this yet, but I've implemented the ability to change a monster's node value from a quarter node to an eighth node. Eventually, the number of fast carriers will be limited, but for now I can freely adjust their timing. And as you can see, with the beat synced up correctly, a cooked worm is now produced every measure. Okay, so this is great, but what's the point of all this? Monsters receiving and producing goods. What I don't want is for the player to gather generic resources like wood or tools. That works in games like The Settlers or Anno, but in Chains I think waiting around for materials to build something would be boring. As I mentioned in episode 1, the fun of Chains comes from optimizing the rhythm of your production chains. And that's why each production chain unlocks new buildings, effects or technologies. And the better your timing, the better the results. Here's a rough list of the monsters and their effects I have for now. So if we have a look, for example, the mushroom collector increases the number of carriers you can build, but only if it's working efficiently. And a well-synced worm cooker, on the other hand, unlocks faster carriers, 5 eighth node carriers to be exact. If your production chains aren't optimized, the effects will be weaker or may not happen at all. But that's still to come. Right now I need to implement first a system that tracks how often a good is delivered, and second, a way to trigger effects based on that data. That's it for now. So I'm going on vacation for a few weeks, so the next devlog will be a little delayed. But thank you for watching this episode, and if you've got any ideas or feedback about Chains, I would love to hear from you in the comments. See you soon!